Brian Christopherson.
Hey, Greg. I know that game against Ohio State was a ways back, but how did you think the young guys responded to it? And also, kind of moving forward, what do you think they took from that experience and what you've seen out of them heading into this week?
The young guys' response to it was good. I mean, we always have things to work on. It was good to, get a lot of guys, in playing, and I think that they learned a lot about themselves, in the process of having that first game, especially a game against a really good defensive line, a really good defense, and I think that the response to it, coming from the game, has been, just like any other week, we got to, continue to work to get better and, correct the errors that we made, and then certainly the things that we did well, continue to drive home the points that made those plays work for us and make those techniques work for us, for that matter.
Did you like how that rotation worked with Bo and Wilson? I know before the season you said you wanted to rotate some more. Is that something you want to keep kind of going like it was in that game?
Yeah, we want, we got some young promising guys, and we got some guys that have a lot of snaps under their belt. And, it's all in an effort to continue to evolve the young guys, but then also to keep the old guys healthy. And that's what you saw with Bo and Ethan Piper on, I guess a couple Saturdays ago with the rotation of those guys. So that's our intention, is to, continue to, filter in the young guys that have a lot of promise to them and can do the job, and get those guys some live game reps, because we have a lot of confidence in them, as we do the old guys as well.
Sean Callahan, Husker Online.
Hey, Coach, when you look at Northwestern's front, I mean, what is it they specifically do that people have a hard time just consistently running the ball on? It seemed, watching them against Iowa, they did a pretty good job up front. What have you seen as far as how they'll challenge you guys up front?
Yeah, man, they're gap discipline. Those guys are gap discipline. We talk about the defensive line. They very rarely ever get out of gap, get moved out of their gap. And then certainly you talk about the backers, man. The backers are the strength of their team. The backers are, the guys that have started, basically it seems like 4 years in a row. Number 51, number 42, number 28. Those guys, are really good players, and they have a good feel for the gaps that they need to work downhill through, and those guys play a physical brand of football, and certainly we got our work cut out for us, and that's what you see all over the film from the last couple of years. Not just the first two games they've played, but they're a pretty strong and stout front against whomever they've played. Some really good rushing offenses in the Big Ten. Those guys have been able to manage and do well against a lot of really good teams in the Big Ten.
Omaha World Herald, Evan Bland.
Hey, Greg. Just curious, coming off your first game as run game coordinator, what that experience was like. How was that maybe different for you from coaching games in the past, and maybe what did you learn or take away from that moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't very much different. Just being honest with you. The flow of the game, as we go throughout the season, there might be a little bit more of an expanded role, but not very much changed from seasons past to what we did on Saturday functionality wise. As we continue to work through the season, again, the run game coordinator is more of a title, than an actual in-game direct responsibility. Certainly there's an ownership there, but it's more or less making sure that we keep the main thing, that we're not going and straying off to other places in the run game, that we're our bread and butter is our bread and butter, and we're running our bread and butter. And, we decided to attack those guys a certain way on Saturday, Ohio State. And, at least for the beginning of it, kind of throughout the game, we were able to do, some good things in the run game.
Lincoln Journal-Star, Parker Gabriel.
Hey, Greg, sort of a broader question for you. I've heard some players say this week talking about, maybe not going out in a situation where they might have before, just trying to sort of take COVID and the protocol seriously. And I'm wondering, with all of the ups and downs and a game getting canceled and all that, how have you seen guys just in general handle the things that they're being asked to take into consideration beyond just, getting better at being football players?
Yeah, man, those guys, man, we've been doing this since March, right? We've been kind of rolling with the punches, and really outlasting the obstacles, throughout this whole journey. And, us getting the game against Wisconsin canceled was just another speed bump. Now, it was a big speed bump now, just considering it was Halloween weekend and, we know all the social festivities that come along with that. I thought our guys did a really good job. You can tell just by virtue of, how our team, has responded on the field, but certainly our guys, we test every day. And there's not been this, big wave of infections, from the coronavirus. Our guys, certainly they were caring about, the man to the right and to the left of them more than they were caring about their personal interest this past weekend. So excited about what they did in their private hours to be a professional, just like they've been a professional throughout this whole process, continuing to just answer the bell, and say, hey, I'm going to put the interest of football and the interest of my team before my own interest. And I think that this time, has been able to serve us, in a positive manner, more so than a negative manner overall.
Well, two more for Greg here. Mitch Sherman, The Athletic.
Hey, Greg, what'd you see from Turner Corcoran in his first game action? I know he didn't play a lot, but tough assignment to go against an Ohio State defensive end, first time out as a college player, and in learning from that and moving forward, what have you observed with him?
Well, first and foremost, Mitch, you have a nice house. But anyway, above and beyond that, Turner did well. Turner came in, he got in there for 10 plays, handled his own, graded out pretty well. Another guy with a bright future. So excited about, where he is and where he's going. He's certainly an arrow up guy. And, we're continuing to, coach the details, coach the finer points with him. And he's a kid that loves to be coached, loves to be corrected, can take constructive criticism really well. So, just excited about, the player and the person that Turner Corcoran is. And your house.
And last one for Coach Austin, Sam McEwen, Omaha World Herald.
Hey, Coach. I want to go back to Piper for a second. Just as my amateur eye, he's a pretty good athlete, and he seemed to move really well against Ohio State. Did you have an inkling when he moved over from the defensive line to the offensive line that he was going to be able to move and with the extra weight that you guys have put on him as well as he appears to?
Yeah, I mean, Turner, and you said it best. He's an athlete, and that's what we try to recruit here at Nebraska. We want to recruit big athletes, and obviously a local Nebraska kid and big hands, strong kid, good body leverage. Piper is another guy that, is a really good player that's going to be, a really, one of the best in the conference in the country. Hopefully, here soon. I can't say enough about the athlete that the kid is. He's an aware kid. He's continuing to elevate his football knowledge and football understanding and instincts and et cetera, et cetera. All those things come with snaps, right? And I mentioned it earlier. In order for you to get those snaps, you got to get those snaps. And sometimes, in order for you to learn, you have to lose. You have to lose. It's not a win. It's more of a learning experience. And one of the things I like about him and Turner, for that matter, is that once those guys, learn it, it only takes a couple times for them to learn it, and then they're ready to go. Athlete, he has the right mindset, and we're excited about his future as well.
I feel like you've upgraded the athletic profile of that room since you've been recruiting there, and not that the guys that you inherited were unathletic, but watching Benhart and Piper and obviously Juergens, do you feel like the athletic profile is better than maybe it was just in the way the guys move?
Yes, I think like we have upgraded the athletic profile across the board. Not only have we updated or upgraded the athletic profile, but then we've also gotten longer and bigger, and that was a big deal when we first arrived here, was that we want to recruit. We're in the Big Ten. We got to get big dudes, and no discredit to the guys that were here previously, but at the end of the day, it's an objective measure. It's not subject to anything. If you're 6'5", you're 6'5". If you're 6'2", you're 6'2". I tell the guys all the time, I wouldn't recruit myself, in our offense, because I'm just too short, right? I wouldn't recruit you either, Sam. So just being honest with you.
Shorter and fatter. Yeah.
I'm not going to talk about you being fat. Good?
Thanks, man.
All good.
All right,
Thanks,
boys.
Coach Austin.
Thanks, guys.
We'll have Coach Chinander next. All right, we got Coach Chinander here. Let's go to Evan Bland, Omaha World Herald.
Hey, Eric. Northwestern with a new offensive coordinator this year. I'm just curious what you see that's maybe different about their attack under him than maybe what you've seen in the past.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit different running game. Even though they're still going to be in some spread, they're implementing more use of tight ends, multiple tight end sets, hard tight ends in the package. I think they got a little better quarterback run game. We saw Peyton Ramsey last year, but he did some nice things when we played him and all throughout the year last year, and he's able to get out of trouble a little bit with the pass rush. He's able to create some real quarterback runs for himself. The passing game, it's similar but different routes, those types of things, more movement passes. But I think Coach Bajakian has done a really good job in the first two games, and he obviously did a really good job at Boston College as well.
24/7 Sports, Brian Christopherson.
Hey, Eric, what's the biggest distance you've seen Miles Farmer, Quinton, and Noah Pulla-Gates maybe cover since they've been here the last year? And I guess how do you feel about their position now as maybe playing some more this week for you and where they're at?
What was the first part again?
Just the distance they've covered in the last year from when they arrived to the program and your comfort level now and them maybe having a bigger role.
Yeah, I think the gap that they've bridged, so to speak, is they're catching up in knowledge of the game, knowledge of the system. With some of the other guys in the room, you could always tell when they first got here. Both of those guys are super athletic. They're all physical. Miles is a really long kid, and Noah's as twitchy of a guy that's on the football team. So it was just knowing what to be and just being able to have the coaches trust them that they're going to be able to do their job, snap in and snap out. And I think that they've both taken that under their wing, and they've took that constructive criticism, and they've got in the playbook. They've got extra film study. They've taken it upon themselves to bridge the gap that they had. And they've been taking reps with the ones and twos the entire, whatever we call this thing, fall camp or fall season or whatever it is now. But they've taken reps the ones and twos, and they've just consistently gained trust of myself, Coach Fisher, Coach Frost, and everybody else in the program. So I think those two have done a good job of taking it on their shoulders and showing us that they're ready for some Big Ten action.
Sean Callahan. Go ahead, Sean.
Hey, Coach, I know Isaac Gifford's been a guy, too, that's been talked about a lot. What have you seen from him, and how surprised are you that he's been able to kind of push himself up there with those other safeties here? And, in a week like this, you might have to use a guy like Isaac Gifford.
Yeah, not surprised. I mean, a pleasant surprise, but, a guy with like Isaac Gifford, we knew Well, you don't exactly always know what you're getting, but you think you know what you're getting. And a guy that comes from a great family with a great pedigree. Obviously, his brother was a really great player here and really understood football and was probably more athletic than he got credit for the entire time he was playing college football, maybe even now. Just like Isaac. Isaac's more athletic than he gets credit for, and he really understands football. He really wants to work at the game. He's accountable, he's dependable, and he's going to work hard every single snap. He's a guy that we know whether we throw him out there at nickel or safety or probably even linebacker, he's going to know what he's doing and he's going to max himself out. So not a surprise that he's playing on special teams and getting some run on the defensive side of the ball.
And then is Northwestern, are they running more pro style? I mean, with their new system, and I mean, is it a completely different look from the spread that you've kind of known them to run for the last several years?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a little. I think it's a good mix, of pro style and college football offense because they do implement some of the quarterback run game, but then they're going to come back and have two tight ends and try to smash the ball a little bit, and they have a lot of pro style passes mixed in there with a little under center as well. So. I think that, Coach Bajakian, like I said, I think he's done a good job of using the personnel that they have and getting those guys in the right positions and letting them, make the plays that they're able to make and using their quarterback correctly. So I think the offense is a little different. But, once again, it's a mix of pro-style offense and some of the spread college stuff.
Parker Gabriel, Lincoln Journal-Star.
Eric, I know you said last week that you overall liked your rotation in the front seven. You had some outside linebackers over the course of the game, put a hand down, play from a 3-point stance. Did you do more of that against Ohio State than maybe last year? Or I guess, how do you like the versatility of that group to sort of be able to play on the line or a little bit off?
Yeah, I mean, I think that group has done a good job right now of embracing the fact that, when we're in base personnel, they're outside backers, and when we're in nickel personnel, they're defensive ends, and they still have some dropping responsibilities. But they can put their hand down a lot in the ground. So, a lot more, you guys watch the film, a lot more 4-down spacing, whatever you want to call it, 4-2-5, 4-3 defense, but a lot more of that. And those guys have embraced that role pretty well. And I think we're just, you got to find a way to effectively use your personnel, and the effective way to use a lot of those guys is some hand in the ground and some standing up. So I think they've done a really great job. Coach Dawson's done a good job of teaching them when and where.
Got time for two more here for Chins. Sam McEwen, Omaha World Herald.
Eric, thanks for doing this. How did you think Deontay Williams played in that Ohio State game? And is there any sort of coaching you give him on? He's a very physical player, and you never want to remove that element of his game. But he did have the shoulder injury last year, and he got a targeting call, even if we don't necessarily agree with the call in the first game. Do you talk to him about how to play that and to maybe walk that line between making big hits but also not getting hurt again or anything like that?
Yeah, I think his body's good. His shoulder's fixed. I think his shoulder's at 100%. So I don't think that's our worry right now. He's playing pretty free. I thought he played a really good football game. Everybody can get better. Obviously, every single person that's on our field has some things to clean up. But he played a good football game. He was physical. On the hit, it's a fine line. Did he take his head out of it? Yes. Did he hit in the strike zone? I thought so. Did he launch? No, but they called it, so it's, it's getting to the point where you're telling those DBs that they got to go real low. And that's just it's a shame, because I think there's a lot more injuries that come from slicing guys' knees out all the time than hitting in the strike zone where we're teaching them to hit. So, we're going to talk to some Big Ten officials and just see how they want us to correct it. I'm not questioning their call. I just want to get it corrected and make everybody play safely and appropriately.
How would you describe Miles Farmer's game? Just like, what kind of player is he? It's possible that fans and us will see him more this week than maybe we have in the past. How would you describe his game?
Yeah, I think he's I would describe him as a very active safety. he can cover a lot of ground quickly because of his length and because of his speed. And he's also a very physical kid. You know, he can be physical at the line of scrimmage. He can be a physical tackler. He's physical on reroutes in the perimeter. But like I said, in the post, he can cover a lot of ground as well. And I feel pretty good about him in man coverage. So I think he's what we were looking for when we recruited those guys. So I think he's going to come out and have a really good football game. He's ready to play. Like I said, he's practiced the right way all through this whole fall camp, knowing that his shot is one play away, and he's ready to take it.
Last one for Coach Michael Bruntz, 24/7 Sports.
Hey, Eric, just kind of talking about Feldarius Payne and kind of what he did for you in that opener. I mean, is he kind of grown into the player that you thought he would be when you recruited him, and maybe his versatility, I guess, how is that kind of helping your defense right now?
Yeah, I mean, he's getting there. You know, he was a guy that had an injury coming out of junior college, so he didn't get as much work in the offseason as we'd have liked to have, but he's done a good job with the reps that he's got, and you know, he's made himself into a contributor right away. I think he's just going to continue to get better and better as he gets more reps, as he gets more real game action. But he's a guy that's got a really bright future. You know, he can rush the passer, he can set the edge. He's got some pretty good explosive, you know, side-to-side explosiveness when he's on the line of scrimmage. So he's one of those guys where you know we need a couple of those guys that can, you know, we can turn them on and go get after the quarterback when we need to, and also they can go play the quarterback in the zone read stuff. But he's done a really good job in you know, just immersing himself in college football in Nebraska, the system, just day-to-day life. How does it change from being at, you know, junior college to a Big Ten institution? But he's done a great job with that, and he's a guy that, you know, we feel great about. We can count on him. Does everything the right way. So I just think he's only scratched the surface of what he's going to be.
Great. Thank you, Coach.
Right,
we
thanks,
will
guys.
have Coach Fisher here shortly. Okay, Coach Fisher's here. We'll finish up with Coach today. Got a few here. Mitch Sherman, The Athletic.
Hey, Travis, did looking back at Ohio State, did their receivers present you with some challenges in pass defense that maybe didn't allow you to get as aggressive in what you would do against teams that don't have the kind of game-breaking ability like Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave?
No, we knew going into the game that they had deep threats on the outside, and the guys were, want to play top down on the routes and compete and challenge the routes and stuff like that. So.
Thanks.
Lincoln Journal-Star, Parker Gabriel.
Hey, Travis, just your confidence level in that group, especially at safety, behind Deontay Williams and the guys that will be in the mix to fill in, given those first half suspensions for Cam and Deontay.
Yep, I got a lot of confidence in the guys that we're going to play week to week. Obviously, it starts on Monday and Tuesday, preparation and going into the game. How well can we practice as a group? Guys have the individual goals that they want to, accomplish in practice. As far as I want to get better on this today, I want to get better on this tomorrow. I want to get, and stuff like that. But all of the guys, when it's their turn to play, whether it's somewhere during the game, whether it's the next game or whatever it may be, they're starters. So we just keep rolling. So the guys that whoever's in the game is starters in my eyes.
And just one quick follow-up with Miles in particular. You've spoken highly of him in the past. What did you make of the time that he got against Ohio State, and how much does it help to have some film in a game for him then to work off of building the rest of the way?
Yeah, good question. Anytime that I can get the younger guys in the game, it's a bonus for me, just simply because those guys are talented, need to get the game experience. They're getting the practice experience now, but it's nothing like having that game experience. So Miles did get some plays in the Ohio State game, and I thought he did a great job when he got in the game.
24/7 Sports, Brian Christopherson.
Hey, Travis, I just wanted to ask you about a few newcomers. I would maybe start with Nadab Joseph. Where's he at? And I mean, how far is he from contributing, or what's he got to do to kind of get in the mix?
Yeah, right now Nadab is out here every day. He's working hard to get himself where he needs to be. Obviously, he's a late addition for us, but he's working hard to get himself where he needs to be. He's coming along pretty good.
How has Lynham and Delancey? What have they shown to you so far? And are they guys you could rely on this week in any way?
Yeah, I mean, they played last week on special teams. Look forward to them stepping up in some part of the game, whether it's defense, whether it's special teams again this week. Maturing a whole lot to be freshmen, a whole lot. Those two that you just named are doing a great job. Are coming to practice with the right mentality. The older guys they're catching the older guys' eyes by the way they practicing, making plays on the football side in practice.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Omaha World Herald, Sam McEwen.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for doing this. Hey, how'd you know that Quentin Newsome was going to be a good corner? I mean, in high school, he was a really good safety, an elite safety. I think a lot of schools recruited him as that, but you kind of saw all along his possibility of being a cornerback. How did you see that? Like, what did you see in his game that made you think this is a guy that we could actually move from safety to corner?
Just simply because I watched Quentin throughout his high school career, and not his senior year. His junior year, he played corner. So I had a chance to watch him play corner. So that's really how I know. Also, had a chance to watch him work out on his own back home, and just him sending film into me, of him working out on his own. I saw his feet. He has very, very, very good, quick feet. And, guys like that can play safety and corner, but at the same time have the feet to play corner. I knew right away that he can play corner here.
I know that you're a coach. Lots of coaches love to see players in person in order to be able to kind of visually match up what they're seeing on film. That's obviously been very hard this year in the pandemic. How have you tried to adjust to desiring to see these kids up close so you can get a sense of how big they are and how they move and all those things without being able to do it in person because of NCAA regulations?
Yeah, it's hard with the regulations they have out right now, but we're just trying to do the best that we can. You know, personally, I am one of those guys that visually I want to see a kid practice. I want to watch him. I want to see how tall he is. I want to, you know, unable to do it right now, but so it is different for me. But just watching a lot of game film on guys right now, and they got a few games in right now, so now I'm starting to go back and watch some game film. And so I get a chance to have a different opinion or keep the same opinion, depending on what I see on film.
All right, and last one for Coach Fisher, and to wrap up today, Sean Callahan, Husker Online.
Hey, Coach, what have you seen from Peyton Ramsey? I know you got to watch him last year versus Indiana. How has he blended in at Northwestern, and how will he challenge you guys on the back end?
You know, these guys have a great football team. They're very disciplined across the board. You know, not a highly penalized team. They're going to be very disciplined. They're going to do the things that they do and do it well. We got to do a good job of having eye discipline, being very disciplined within the scheme, flying around to the football, being physical in the point of contact, and challenging plays a lot better on the outside. It's a build from last week.
All right, thank you, Coach. Thanks, guys, and we'll have Coach Frost tomorrow at 11:30. I'll send the Zoom link later today.